My name is Sam. I'm known throughout the multiverse as ButterPanda888, and this is my YouTube channel. I'm going to eventually have gameplay content and of different video games, different MMOs, different single-player games, online games, just the whole range. I'll talk about gaming in general, comic books, TV shows, movies, role-playing games, um, miniatures. Yeah, just anime, the whole shebang, nerdy stuff. uh, so I'd like to, for this first video, I'd like to introduce YouTube and anyone who happens to stumble across this to one of my role-playing game worlds that I've created. It is a setting I think is pretty original, if I do say so, and I mean, I hope to eventually get this up on Kickstarter. For now, these are just my ramblings, my notes on the game itself. One note before I start going into the setting: the game does have its own mechanics, it's its own system, but I do hope to, and I'm in the process of doing so, having this game be compatible with Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. So you can play in my setting or the 5th edition setting, and I have rules for both that I'm working on and developing. If I do kickstart this, there will be options for both, but again, that's far future. Right now it's just my ramblings. So to start things off, a little elevator pitch. Sorry. So in my setting, there are two worlds that exist in the same plane. Well, two planes, I should say, that exist in the same universe, or multiverse. And they rotate. Like, both rotate, like this. Both rotate clockwise, but they get to their points at different points. So they're not, while they're both rotating clockwise, they don't meet up at the same time, or they're not at the same point on the clock at the same time. So they do, at times, get close enough to where the boundaries between the universes, or the worlds, planes, whatever you want to call it, wear thin. Now, the main one world, this world, is our world, so to speak. It's the world that we know today. The other world is, and it's called the Awakened world. The other world is the Dreaming world. In this world, it's full of fantastical things that couldn't exist in our world. And it's called the Dreaming world because, supposedly, the only way to get there when the two universes are far apart on their rotations is through dreams. Our subconscious, our souls, our astral selves project into this other world. And the reason that we could wake up and think that we dreamt about being at school in our underpants, or being in a movie or comic book universe, and that when that's not actually the case, you're in the streaming world, is because the mortal self can't handle the process of astral projection. It doesn't know how to interpret it. And so when our astral projection self comes back for mortal vessel, we don't know what to make of it. So our brains interpret it in different ways. Now, when the universes get close together, travel between the two universes becomes possible. And sometimes accidentally. So, in my setting, that explains why you might have been sure you placed your keys on your dresser, and you go to your dresser and the keys aren't there. Or you're sure you left your shoes by the front door. Go to the front door, your shoes aren't there. That would explain missing people, missing communities, maybe maybe a missing tribe or a missing person has actually gone to that other world and got stuck there. You can't get back. Now, it's not just a yearly thing. It's like every 100 years, maybe even every 1,000 years that this happens. I haven't quite worked out how the time frame between each alignment and how long each alignment stays, how long they stay close enough together to travel between them yet. That's coming though. It's coming. Now, in the other world, there are several races. There are the elves. They are basically, think kind of retro sci-fi with the ray guns and all that good stuff, mixed with, and like Robo Butlers, Jetsons almost, mixed with a Roman centurion kind of feel. Roman emperor, Roman triumvirate, Roman dress and attire, ancient Rome to be exact. Gladiators, colosseums, blend those two concepts, the retro sci-fi and the Roman Colosseum, and what you would typically associate with like high elves. Arrogant, immortal, magically proficient. And take all those aspects and combine them to where you have gravity chariots and laser lances dueling in arenas, and the elven, and there's big like projections, like almost like a jumbotron, but it's like all holograms. And Robo Butlers are serving wine to these fine dressed, robed nobles, and that's what the elves are essentially. They have a mortal enemy though, the Chittanoids. Chittanoids are these giant, grotesque bug people. They're marauders, tribal warriors, savages. They raise giant dragonflies, giant beetles, all kinds of giant bugs and creepy crawlies. And that is the Chittanoids. They're barbaric, they're bloodthirsty beetle people, not friendly. And they're the eternal enemy of the elves. Now, a long time ago, the elves decided they needed a slave race to build their kingdom. So they actually, when the universes aligned, went into our world and just abducted, mass abductions, brought them back to their universe, the dreaming world. And there, they had human slaves. And over time, these humans became interesting. They kept a medieval sort of like a Austrian meets French pasture lands. I mean, they're farming people. Think communities like, think the hills from in that movie where they sing "The Hills Are Alive," Sound of Music. That's the movie. Think the Austrian hills. Think, or maybe think the lands of Fiddler on the Roof. These kind of farming people of tradition, and yeah, that's them. That's this slave race now. They're called the Laurel folk. They no longer are a slave race. They have gained freedom. They live in elven communities on the outskirts, in their own separate communities, but in elven territory. And they don't like elves. Elves make them nervous. When an elf comes to collect taxes or to investigate a crime or uprising or whatever, these guys don't like it. The Laurel folk also have compulsive traits that are compulsive flaws genetically. They might be compulsively a liar genetically, so they all come from a line of compulsive liars. They might be animal collectors, where they hoard animals. They might be compulsive pickpockets. And when I say hoard animals, I don't mean like they have like a million rabbits. I mean they collect more pets than they can handle, and mostly exotic pets. The little folk are kind of your off-kilter, kind of something's not quite right here people. They're good. They can be good. In fact, most of them tend to be good or neutral in D&D alignment terms. But they're not quite right in the head. Not crazy, not stupid, and they can be perfectly playable characters. There's just something off about them. And I'll get more into the specifics of each race later. This is just general backstory. Then there are the Ageless. The Ageless are your Lost Boys from Peter Pan. They are your halflings, but they're kids. Immortal kids. They're the result of kids who have wandered into the dreaming world, or the children of these slaves from long ago who escaped. Sorry. And the dreaming world has changed them. So they're immortal, pretty much. They don't age. And they're kids. So they have a childlike mindset. They ride around in like these public transport, their buses or whatever. Everyone pedals like on a bike, and that powers the bus. They have pogo stilts, jumping stilts, allow them to reach high places and feel tall and proud and get around for fun. They have hot air balloons and hang gliders, and they're very much fun and adventurous. And they don't take things too seriously, but they mix their childlike innocence and curiosity and amazement and wonder with the wisdom of being immortal, pretty much. Sort of a Lost Boys, Lord of the Flies, but pleasant overall. There's no dark undertone here with the Ageless, except for the fact that they are trapped in a world that they weren't supposed to be in to begin with, but they've grown to accept their new world, and it's their home. And yeah, that's the Ageless. Then there are the Gobos. These aren't your normal goblins. They're more like Jawas from Star Wars. They live in giant junkyards where it could be the junk from failed elven experiments and just elven trash heaps to piles of lost keys and shoes and glasses and everything from cell phones from our world, the Awakened world, which gets transported and just end up in these big heaps. Gobos are natural tinkers, very bright, very genius. They just don't think the way we would think. They're very eccentric. They can be tricked easily because they don't have necessarily common sense. But when it comes to just ingenuity and craftsmanship, they're the best of the best. They ride around on giant naked mole rats as mounts, and they use them as pack animals, as pets. They're immune to radiation. They can just improvise gadgets and technology, and some willingly give in to mutation, which can lead to all kinds of crazy shenanigans. And those are the races of the Dreaming World. Another option for a player in this setting would be to be some human who recently came to the Dreaming World. They're not native to the Dreaming World. They're not even like the Ageless or the Laurel folk who, at this point, are considered native. They're just visitors, drifters. Maybe by choice, maybe not, but they're here. They need to survive. Now, some interesting things in my world are... Well, I'll get to that later. Let's go into the races specifically. For the elves, they have special abilities, like they can sense dreams, they can visit dreams, even the dreams of the Dreaming World people. It's confusing, but it makes sense on paper. They They have different castes. There's the Technomancer caste, the Centurion caste, the Shadow caste, the Noble caste, the Maiden caste, the Praetor caste, and the Exiles. Technomancer caste are your Magocracy meets Tinker's Guild meets Mad Scientists. Your kind of Scientocracy meets Magocracy. They're the wizards and engineers. They're technomancers, and they have a high place in society due to their role. Not as high as some of the other castes, but they still benefit from their ability to make all of the technology that keeps the elven empires in power. The Centurion caste are your riders in the Colosseum on the grav chariots. They're your gladiators, your soldiers, your guard. And they get some combat abilities. They get some good abilities regarding weaponry, grav chariots, and so on. Your Shadowcast are your assassins. Stealthy and traitorous and double-crossing. While there is an elven king, or emperor, or whatever you want to call him, there's an elven council of nobles as well. An elven council constantly vying for power. People not in the council want into the council. People in the council want to replace the people above them, or take out people who don't agree with their agenda. So they hire members of the Shadowcast to go about these assassinations, these espionage acts, or acts of espionage, these infiltrations and sabotage. So that's the Shadowcast. The Noble Cast are the Triumvirate, the Emperor, the noble royal family, the nobles, merchant guild leaders would fit into probably this cast as well. And the families of all these people as well. The Maiden Cast. Maiden Cast is unique. They're your concubines, your consorts, but they do more than just that. They're also healers. They are performers, partners, but they have a special role in society. They don't have as high status in the society. They're seen as lesser elves because of their role, but they are very useful to the elven society. Very charismatic. They're good at healing, like I said, but they are considered lesser. They still make fun roleplay opportunities, though, too. And it's all female. The main cast is all female. Don't mean to be sexist, but it's just how the elven society works. That's how historical Roman society probably would have been. I have to look that up, but I would assume historically that's how it's been. I'm just borrowing that. The Praetor cast is your high priests. They're also like magic users, archmage, high priest, oracle, that kind of thing. And the exiles have been cast out of elven society. They actually lose their elven wealth. They have very low status, but they're good survivalists, and they're hardy. But elves who are in the caste system do not associate with exiles. In fact, exiles are killed on sight. So they stick to the outskirts, which is very dangerous, because the dreaming world is not as pleasant as you may think. There's also the Laurel Folk. And these castes would basically be your subraces when translated to D&D. The Laurel Folk are skilled and resilient. They fear elves, so they have some hindrance from dealing with elves, but also some benefits when dealing with elves, depending on how you, the way you deal with them, whether it be, uh, yeah, farm. They're farmers and they're hoarders, so they're skilled in farming and appraisal, and they're very tough. They can actually reroll failed saves for certain abilities, because they're trying to overcome the fact that they were once slaves. And their racial characteristic, their version of the caste system, their subraces, are actually bloodlines of the great families of the Laurel folk. Laurel folk are the kind of people that have huge families, and their extended families are all there, and lots of children, lots of brothers and sisters, and yeah, so they have these progenitor families, the first big grand families of the Laurel folk. And so you would play one of the descendants of one of these great families if you were to play a Laurel folk. There's the Applebaum bloodline, which they're resilient, and they start with a green or white spell, and I'll go into what spell color means later. Sorry. Then there's the Beaumont bloodline. The Beaumont bloodline is good at handling animals. They don't like hurting animals, but they're good at handling animals, and they actually are even better with certain animals. The Blanc bloodline are compulsive truth tellers. They don't do so well with lying, but they can sense lies because of that. The Schmidt bloodline is good at dealing with foreign folk, outsiders, but they also are easily given to them as well, or to anybody really. They don't have very high willpower, but they're good with social skills, dealing with these outsiders. And then there's the Winkler bloodline, which have close ties to the Gobos, but because of that, they're kind of seen as kind of traitorous to the Laurel folk, because Laurel folk are very kind of xenophobic. There are varying degrees of xenophobia. Winklers are the least xenophobic, but Laurel folk aren't so proud of that. Other Laurel folk, anyways. But they do have close ties to the Gobos, and their skills, their abilities reflect that. The Ageless, their abilities, I don't have as fleshed out, but they're basically based on different childhood concepts. There's the Lost Boys kind of feel, where they're animals. There's the Toy Makers, or the Lost Boy feel, are renegades. They dress like they're outlanders, but they're not. They're the actors, as I call them. So actors, Toy Makers, athletes. Basically, these different roles, these concepts, that's them. Toy Makers are good at they're very imaginative, and they can actually they're good at summoning, but also good at building. Athletes are good at all kinds of skills involving physique, agility. They're good at dodging, good at running, good at climbing, good at swimming, good at flying, like all that stuff. Actors are they put on a brave persona. They're your noble knights saving the princess. They're your superheroes fighting crime. Their imagination goes beyond their imagination is a defining attribute. It goes beyond what reality even. There's a few others, but those are the three primary ones: actors, athletes, and Toy Makers. Then you have the different Gobos, which are based on a different defining mutation, and then the mutation lists. I don't have all the mutations fleshed out yet, but that's their concept. And the Chitinnoids are basically based on different, not subraces of beetles. I considered that instead based on the color of their chitin, which kind of defines their caste and their abilities. So it's more subrace based, but yeah. And some interesting things about the world: geography and where the race is set up. The elves have three main kingdoms. Oh, sorry, four main kingdoms. Dominion is their main one, but there's also Sylveste, Ferrum Regnum, and Drakon. Dominion is your ancient Rome, your center of the empire. Sylveste is your nature-centric place. That's where the wood elf version of them would live. Still very imperialistic. They're your Roman twin off to Britain, mixed with techno-druids, kind of. It's interesting. Ferrum Regnum is your forge dwellers. They're ones who make the armor, make the technology. And Drakon are your mystics / Drake riders. They actually ride on drakes. Chitinnoids live in different lands. The Blasted Lands, which is an elemental wasteland. The Hive Mountains, which is their homeland, which are giant, basically, they're mountains, but they're actually not rockets, hives, like termite mountains, the size of mountains. And the World Caverns, which are these huge caverns which go across the entire inside of the planet. Like I said, gobos can just be found wherever you have scrapyards and junk lands. Laurel folk live in the elven fringes, and the ageless live in Neverrest. The ageless are full of energy. And the sleepy forests, which are kind of like your Studio Ghibli-esque or Ori and the Blind Forest-esque, dreamy, kind of hazy forests. They have cities like Ulala, Wowza, Yahoo, Cowabunga. Yeah, all spelled in fun ways. They have pedal gliders, which are bike hang glider hybrids. Pedal skiffs, which are skiffs that are pedal powered by passengers. They're kind of like a bus. Hot air balloons, pogo stilts, like I said earlier. And they actually stop aging at 14. To go into the magic of the world, I mentioned earlier with the Laurel folk, there's different colored magic. And there's three subsets of magic. Three schools of magic, I should say. Color magic. No, let me rephrase that. There's three archetypes of magic. Each magic has different schools of magic. Each archetype has different schools of magic. There's color magic, race magic, and dreaming world magic. Color magic is associated with a color tied to a concept or element. Race magic is magic specific to the race, just one of the races of the dreaming world. They're the ones who developed it, and it's specific to them because of that. And dreaming world magic is just inherent magic native to the dreaming world. For color magic, there's white magic, which is protection and healing magic. Blue magic is pure arcane magic. That'd be like your magic missile, that kind of thing. Just pure arcane force. Green magic is nature magic. Red magic is combat magic, so battle-centric magic, as well as elemental magic, fire, earth, water, wind. Black magic is related to death, so necromancy. Darkness, kind of like obscuration, kind of into shadows, manipulating shadows themselves, teleporting from shadow to shadow. And destruction, things like decay, rot, just apocalyptic force. Then there's violet magic. Violet magic is dream magic. That's your scrying, your sleep magic, your dream magic. The race magics are Imperialis, which is belongs to the elves. It's based around empire building, civilization, technology, and superiority. The Chittanoid magic is called entomancy. It's bugs, creepy crawlies, hive minds, stuff like that. Gobos have gobomancy, which is an offshoot of technomancy mixed with radiation magic and mutation magic. It's tinkering magic, so building scrap golems or using random pieces of junk as an arcane focus or stuff like that on the fly. And then radiation-based magic, so dealing Ray of Sickening would probably fit into that, but be changed to radiation, or themed as radiation. And mutation-based magic as well, kind of transmutation feel. The Ageless have Mayjack, spelled like May as in the month of May, and Jack as in the name Jack, the boy's name. They have Mayjack is basically based around joy and fun and dazzling feats of fireworks and glitter and illusion as well. And Laurelfolk have Faux Theurgy. It's based on compulsion, fear, lies, but also community, strangely enough. They believe it, they worship it almost like a Puritan kind of church. They believe it is a faith from up above, a divine power, but it's not. It's just their own beliefs made manifest. And there's dreaming world magic. Sorrow magic is fueled by your inherent sadness. You're longing to get back to the awakened world, or sadness of a memory you're reliving and seeing because of the nature of the dreaming world. And it has all kinds of cool effects. And technomancy, which the elves are very proficient in, and very proficient in. Sorry there. And so are the gobos. Less so. They mainly do their tinkering version, their gobomancy. But technomancy is anyone in the dreaming world can use it. And for my system, I should probably go into that. Well, yes, I did say there would be a D&D 5e or 5th edition version. I also have my own version. I want to go briefly over the attributes or abilities because they're different. Instead of your strength, dexterity, constitution, wisdom, intelligence, and charisma, we have command, skill, physique, brain power, attunement, and resilience. Command is kind of your initiative and your charisma. It's used for social skills, influence, initiative. Skill is dex-based and specialized skills. Professions and performing and crafting. It's also used for all what would be considered dex-based weapons. All finesse weapons or all ranged weapons. Then there's physique, used for melee attacks, physical skills, run speed, armor penalty reductions, stuff like that. Encumbrance. There's also your brain power is next. It combines wisdom and intelligence, used for knowledge and brain power skills and willpower saves. But it'd be called brain power. Attunement is used for spellcasting and magic skills. All your magic saves, spell DC, stuff like that would fall under attunement. And resilience is used for physical saves and armor boosts and HP. And that's how my system works. For abilities, there's all kinds of other things which I'll go into probably in future videos. How to create a character, so on. But that's a brief overview of my system, my setting. Again, dreaming world, an awakened world. They rotate on different axes, but they They cross paths, get close enough, occasionally to where travel between them becomes possible. Yeah. If you have any questions, comment below. Um, I will be posting more videos. I think my next one is going to be based on my opinions on comic book superhero and supervillain costumes. That's what I'm planning on doing next. If you'd like to see anything in particular, I mean, I watch anime, I do read comic books, I play video games, do D&D, all that kind of stuff. Uh, yeah, comment below with your opinions and questions, your own critiques. If you want to know more about my setting, yeah. All right. Uh, I'll be back soon with more content, hopefully. Time allows. And this has been Butter Panda 888 or Sam signing off. Peace.